All right, this is a Leica IIIa. The IIIa has two viewfinders. The left one is for viewing and focusing, and then you move your eye over to the right to compose. This is a magnified view, and they're not together. Later Leicas, they actually move them right next to each other, so you can tell it's a little bit older. This one has shutter speeds up to 1,000th of a second, and it has the 1 second to 1/20th of a second on this little dial down here. And if you set this at the dial that says 1 to 20, then you're now using this lever, this control down here. The problem with this is, this camera, the shutter speeds, a 40th of a second, if you can see that shutter curtain, it doesn't really seem to go over when it should. It's barely moving. It's gummed up or something. It seems to me I can shoot at a 500th of a second, and it goes all the way across and works. I don't know if you can see that. But if I shoot at a 200, that one was working. I can't really hear the difference between a 200 and a 500, but a 100, it just hangs up until I let go of the shutter, and then it shoots, but sometimes the curtain doesn't travel all the way across. There's a 60th. Again, when I let go of the shutter, that's when it shoots. It's a little bit, something's going on here. This camera, they said, got a little bit wet. I don't know exactly what that means, but even if they didn't tell you that, if you were buying this camera, look inside. Notice how much rust is in here. I don't know if you can see that. There's a lot of brownish rust coloring inside this area in here, a little bit in here, and if you see that, that's a warning sign. I probably wouldn't buy this camera. This came with another camera, and it was just sort of thrown into the deal, so I took it, but it wasn't the kind of thing that... They said it was cleaned and lubed and adjusted back in 2004 and made to work after it got wet, but it doesn't seem like it's working very well, and it certainly looks like there's still traces of that water damage that happened years ago. Here's a take-up spool. Make sure your Leica, if you buy a Barnack camera, make sure it has one of those. You'll need one to load film. This doesn't have the guide on the bottom. Some of these have a little guide to show you how to cut the leader, which you have to cut differently than a 35mm camera that uses just the standard leader right from the factory. This uses an extra long tail so that when you load it, you don't damage the shutter as you load the camera with the film going across this long channel, because the camera back doesn't open. It's a solid piece, and you have to line it up into that channel. So you put the film onto the reel, and you lower both that side and this side into the camera at once, and you need it to cut an extra long leader. It's really simple to do. It's not a big deal. It's not very quick, and I don't think you're shooting this camera to be the quickest in the field. But certainly watch out for things like that. You see marks of rust color, and I see it in a few different places. I definitely would be leery of buying this knowing that something has happened. Oh, here's the indicator for, they actually have it on the bottom of the door, which tells you how to cut the leader longer so that it'll load properly and you won't damage the shutter. The other Leicas I've seen, the 3C and the 3F, have it down here. So again, that's a good indication. This camera actually is a good example of a camera that looks really good. The leather's in really nice shape. It may have been recovered, but it's well done. I've had another one on here, a 3C, that wasn't so well done. But this one, the leather looks good, the chrome looks good. There's a little telltale sense of rust up here on these screws up here. That's a little worrisome. But again, if the shutters were working and I had a good lens for it, as long as the shutters are working, it's a box that holds film steady. Even with that water damage, if I can get the shutter to work, then ultimately it's a box that holds film steady. The lens brings the image into the body, and at the moment of exposure, all the shutter does is get out of the way so that the light can come across and hit the film. This one, it's not quite doing that. The shutter speeds need to be worked on. It's going to need another clean lube and adjust, and it's probably one that I'll also let go because I can't put the money into repairing them. I'd rather let somebody take this who can do it, and they can buy it and they can put the work into it. Maybe they're a repairman, or maybe they would be, they would be interested in getting the repair done. So to screw mount, these old Leica IIIs are screw mount. They're really cool cameras in that they're smaller than the M series, and I like the build quality. Certainly you notice that you're holding a quality piece of equipment, but it's a camera that you do want to check out. Make sure the shutter speeds are working like we always check them. This one, if I put it on a 40th of a second, still not shooting. It's kind of like, it's just stuck is what it is. It's just something that's gummed up inside the shutter. It's not the kind of thing that I know how to repair, so this is the kind of camera I probably wouldn't buy. Like I said, it was included with another camera sale. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I love talking Leica. I love showing you different cameras and showing you what I have and talking about how they work and helping you get a good one. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Hit my subscribe button, and I'm glad to bring these to you. Thanks so much for watching.